Welcome back to the One More K podcast, episode 19 already of this Asian focused, business focused trail running show. I'm Marcus. We are supported by Lecca Nutrition, and we have on the show Ned today from New York City.
Well, Marcus, close. I was in New York City. I'm now in Virginia. But for a Asian trail running show, we are both stateside. This could be the first ever podcast of an Asian trail running show where both hosts are in America.
That's why we are so glad to have our special guest on the show, who represents, in this case, Asia. Welcome, Guim Valls.
Hello.
Good to have
Hello,
you on the
guys.
show, mate. We are good friends
Likewise.
from
Pleasure.
Hanoi. We go back some time to our Vietnam trail running roots, and you've been there much longer than I have. But yeah, it's amazing to get you on the show. We have promised our guests to talk a bit more about the Vietnamese trail runners, about MUDE Sports and Hau Ha, of course. And you are very close to Hau Ha as her coach.
Mm-hmm.
You are the co-founder, CEO of MUDE Sports, one of the key brands Southeast Asia. And yeah, we want to hear all about it. So MUDE and Guim. Into introduction, I thought I want to hear your story, how you cycled around the world with your e-bicycle. And I believe you're one of the first people who actually did that.
Yes. I don't want to. I don't really mind if I'm the first or the second. There's someone, a French writer, who claimed that he was. But anyway, I don't mind. But yeah, I was living in Beijing few years, 2006, before the Olympics, and yeah, I was working and living there. And one day I get this idea to go around the world. Actually, well, this was an idea since I was born, but I didn't know how to do it. But one day, because I own an electric pedal assist bicycle in Beijing, the two ideas merge, and then yeah, I decided to quit my job and everything and find a company who sponsors me the bicycle, Whisper Bicycles, and I built one, and here we go. And then I spent 3.5 years cycling around the world with an electric bicycle and a solar panel to promote sustainable energies and renewable energies and sustainable means of transport. And it happens that during this trip, I end up establishing Hanoi after 3.5 years.
What was your route? How did it go? From where to where?
So I start from Beijing, then cross to South Korea, then South Korea, then Japan, back to China, Hong Kong, Macau, China, Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, New Zealand, Australia, back to Vietnam, got married, get my ex-wife with me, and then cycle Vietnam, Laos, Thailand, jump to India because we could not cross, jump from India to Greece, unfortunately, because we could not get to Afghanistan because they just killed Osama bin Laden. We could not get into Iran for visa issues. Turkey wasn't happy to provide a visa to a Vietnamese citizen passport, so we ended up jumping. And by the way, then we find out we were pregnant. So anyway, I kept cycling alone to Spain, and then we were already, I don't remember, 5 or 6 months pregnant. So then we decided to pull the brake and go back to get established in Vietnam.
A very productive trip, it seems.
Not bad.
You were doing this before e-biking was either cool or a thing. Now everyone's got one. You were possibly the only person with one.
I definitely was. I was in many shows, TV shows, interviews. I was really people opening people's eyes. Many people told me also, you're doing this at the wrong time. But one do it when it's the moment for him, and for me it was a life experience. I really enjoy it. I hope I opened people's eyes. I had big opportunities to talk in the World Expo and in some TV shows everywhere, so that was nice. And I'm glad that later there's a boom with e-bikes, and yeah, all good. For me, it was a life experience. So I start single, I end up with a family. I think, I tick the box. It's enough.
I assume that wasn't the main purpose of getting on your bike, to find a wife.
No, no, not at all. For me, since I was a kid, and my parents they knew it, I wanted to see the wall. I just didn't know how to do it, and I don't know, doing backpacking at that time. That was pre-internet, right? Pre-mobile phones. It was, yeah, I like it, the idea, but maybe I don't know. And one day it just happened that I got this. It just popped out in my mind, and I went ahead and I did it.
Nice. So you've been in Vietnam since when then? When was that year?
2012, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 2012 or 13. Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's
So when
more
I
than
came
10 years
back, yeah,
now.
when we came back here to get my 2000, 2012, actually.
Nice. Okay.
And when you arrived in Vietnam, was it the same e-bike the whole way?
I had two in the 3 years, two different models. The first one was a rear hub, and the second one was front hub engine. They were not mid engines, mid motors at that time. So yeah, I started with one, and I think when I was in New Zealand, if I'm not mistaken, they released a new model, and then they ship it to me, and I get the new bike.
Should make it into a movie.
Yeah, maybe one day. Yeah, I'm a bit busy at the moment, but yeah, maybe. I mean, I guess there's people who do it with that purpose from the start. I got footage, sure. Yeah. My ex-wife is a journalist, so we also did videos, and they're on YouTube and things. But well, if one day I have the time and somebody's interested, maybe.
Nice. Well, this keyword is being busy. So I think we'll get back to that part in a few minutes. We got to cover the news, and this week has been, for some reason, relatively quiet, apart from all the UTMB races going on. I can't keep track on all the UTMB stuff anymore. So there's been another race happening, and we're just going to skip over this for now. I found another interesting topic on Reddit this time around, and I need to have a disclaimer here that, of course, I'm the founder of a nutrition company, and I'm not here to bash any other nutrition company. I'm here to provide insights into what's happening in the community. And I found it rather interesting how, for the last 3 months already, I'm not sure it was anyone's radar, but for the last 3 months, Spring Energy, a very large energy gel company in America, got into some trouble online on Reddit, where one Reddit user has done a home test to check if one of the Spring Energy gels actually has the carbs that they promise on the nutrition facts. So Spring says they have 45 gram of carbs in their one of the products, but the test turns out to have only 16 gram. Then last week, one of the German resellers did send products to a lab and got a test back, and yeah, it turns out there are only 16 gram of carbs in their product, which then unleashed an entire Reddit community to go crazy and question really what's going on with that. And I want to highlight this not necessarily about Spring. I honestly think they're a great product, and I've been using them myself. I think it's more about how the community is very concerned about the nutrition facts and what's going on these items and all these food items. So it was the first time where I saw some kind of, I think UTMB was the first time, to be honest with you, how what happened in Whistler, and there was a bit of a community uproar. There's the second time I see now this kind of energy coming out, and I'm more curious about the energy is happening in this field, where people are getting really upset now. And as a trail runner, I'm like, we're all great guys, we're all nice guys. Like, there's no harm done, it's all good. Like, let's kind of live in peace and make a better world. But yeah, I'm picking up energies I haven't picked up before. What do you guys think?
I'll have a go at this too. It's kind of weird, right? Nobody would know if there was 16, 18, 22, or 24 grams. Half of it's psychosomatic anyway. You take a gel, they can fill it full of anything to a degree. But I did follow this a bit. I think it's the growing pains we've talked about. This used to be a sport where nobody did it, nobody cared, there was no money. I haven't sent you my drop of the week, Marcus, but it's a little controversial this week, and it's going to touch on this point. So I think it's the growing pain of the sport. You know, we are now in a world where there's a lot of people doing it. there's money involved, and once you get the Reddit community on you, they don't leave things alone, right? The Reddit community doesn't go in gently. It's not we'll leave it alone. So I think it's just another sign of our growing pains that people get their, as we say in the UK, their knickers in a twist over something that's really remarkably unimportant. That would be my view.
A little bit on the same page. I think it's more just than about the gels. I think it's in our sport in general, the trail running. I always think that trail running is like the rugby of what for rugby it's the football, right? Trail running it's based on values. It's a very humble sport because it doesn't matter. You're the top elite or average runner, you will suffer on the trails, right? It doesn't matter if it's the 10K or the 100 miles, depending on how you take it, it's going to suffer. This is just a consequence of doing business just for business and making profits, and not thinking about anything else. And I don't think, and this, it goes through everything from the shells to sports brands, to race organizers, to running bodies. When the pursuit of making profit it's the essence, I think it destroys the morals and the values of the trail running. And I'm not surprised. Definitely not surprised. Sad, but
Yeah, the key sticking point, reading through the comments, was not about the company or the brand or none of this. Actually, more about the cost. The gel cost $5, and people said for some races they bought $700 worth of gels. And yep, there are 100-mile people who said, "Yep, I got." I don't know how many gels that must be, but hundreds of gels basically for not hundreds of gels, but like dozens of gels for the race. So they dropped the money. And in terms of money per carb, they got a bad deal, right? So I think again, it's more about as you said, Guim, very correctly, it's the money part that starts to kick in, and as soon as money is involved, things are changing, right? So that is where this is heading, and that's quite interesting.
What happened to the good old days when people would drink beer and eat a Mars bar? That was all we needed. I bet you when Guim went around the world, you didn't buy hundreds of gels. You just ate whatever was on the side of the road, right?
I remember, and some people get shocked sometimes. Through Asia, I remember perfectly and sorry, I wasn't very healthy probably, but okay, my body type is my body type. But I will eat, because it was difficult sometimes to get, I will eat a package of Oreos and a Red Bull, and that will get me kilometers and kilometers, and then I will later eat a pho or a rice here or whatever they have, local have, and that's it. And that's it.
And you even got your wife pregnant.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing, right?
Well, yeah.
All you need is Red Bull and Oreos. And look, Marcus, as you know, you run Lecker. I'm not saying gels are not important, but people who are like, "Oh my God, I didn't finish my race because of my 8 carbs from my gel." Dudes, get a life, right? Gels are great, and gels are super important, and they are incredibly. Look, again, nothing to the comparison of Guim's around the world. When I ran my 100 miles in Singapore, like I have no support, so I have to swing into 7-Eleven, and I'm buying exactly the same. I'm buying Red Bull, Coke, and a Cornetto and an ice cream, and whatever I get my hands on, and it's okay, right? Look, if I was Killian or somebody trying to win the race, at the very, very shop, maybe it's different, right? But for 99%,
exactly. It's the same for me. I wasn't, when I did around the world, I wasn't competing with anyone. For me, it was a way of traveling, and discover the world. So there was really no need. I do think gels can be important. Obviously, we need to make sure that they have what they say. But like an elite athlete, like I'm doing now with Hau, we are more towards organic and natural food than that. But it's true that in some points of the race, especially in ultras, was to get some caffeine, to get some this and that. Okay, and I would say it's also very important the mental aspect of it, that we can't deny it. You get one, or sometimes when you're in the red zone, you your life depend on one of those little bags, right? So this is what it is, and they just need to be good and to have what they say they have. That's all.
But to the point, and I know Marcus will move on in a minute. In the same way that Gary's race at WAM I don't think UTMB set out to do wrong stuff. Maybe Spring did. I have no idea. But it does just show that, there's a lot of people in this. We're a growing sport, right? It's not just a couple of people running around in the woods anymore. So, and it does hurt brand. We can tell, like, it's going to hurt their brand the same way UTMB took a lot of crap. One small little mistake, it's not about the missing grams. It's about the heat they're going to take. And nobody wants that.
Indeed. On a similar note, it made me smile a bit, the next topic, which was the announcement of the so-called TrailCon. So we're coming to the stage of this industry or the sport where there's going to be actually the first, as far as I know, trail running conference happening. That is just a few days before Western States here in California, 26th of June. And yeah, it made me smile. I think if there's a conference, that means the sport is hyping. I remember it from my good old fintech days when suddenly there were so many conferences and you have all these influencers and people like us coming along and just talking BS, to be honest. But yeah, we have now the first official trail running conference happening in America just before the Western States. I do have to say that the lineup looks pretty cool. Everyone watching online can see it. But yeah, we have a very nice lineup of people. Of course, Dylan Bowman, he's the one behind it with Brandon Madigan and Doug Emsley. But yeah, we have Corey McComb, Billy Yang, Sally McRae, Tim Tollison. The list goes on and on of Brian Metzler who are coming to the conference. But yeah, again, now we have a conference for trail running. Would you go, Guim?
If they invite me, yes, I'm always happy to travel and to listen and to talk. But I don't think so. I'll get an invitation. But yes, why not?
I would love to. I mean, look, Marcus, me and you went to, I went to a lot. You went to a lot. I went to a lot of fintech conferences where we're all like, yay, look at that. And it's a little BS. But you kind of got to, right? If you're going to build a brand, I think you've got to go, right? Look, there's obviously been, I think it's called the Outdoor Conference, which is massive, right? There's massive outdoor running. Exactly. There's many. This is, very trail specific. It's still pretty small right now, and it's right before Western States, but good on them, right? Again, it comes back to whether it's missing carbs in your gel or the trail running thing or UTMB selling out or any of it. We're just an industry that's growing, right? And good luck to them. Look, they're going to lose money on this. I'll tell you, it's a one-day thing. They're going to take a beating on this. I just know enough about conference organization. So I'm happy they're doing it, and they should keep doing it. And one day it will be a big thing.
My master's degree is in conference and big event organization, so I'm on the same page as you. I would know quite well.
Well, Guim, in case you have nothing else to do, why don't you do one in Asia?
Well, I mean, yeah, the day when I have nothing else to do.
Okay. Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about what you are doing, and maybe quick zoom out to what you have been doing in the past, because I'm actually very curious about the story of the founding of MUDE Sports, where you are part of the key team and you're the co-founder CEO. Why don't you give us a quick overview of MUDE Sports in particular? I know there's a few other companies involved as well in your holding, but let's dig into MUDE Sports and the founding of it, and why did you start it? Because I think you started also quite early when trail running wasn't.
It's I'll go now few generations back. Okay, on the start, I'm not alone, so we are three partners. The three of us, Catalans, Spanish, based and established in Vietnam. It's a Vietnamese company with three foreign investors. My two business partners, they are the fourth generation of textile industry. There was a very powerful textile industry in Catalonia, I don't know, a century ago. And they decided to move 15 years ago to Vietnam, bring the machinery and start doing textile here. I know them when I passed through my world tour, and I joined them once I get established here. We are a factory. We produce custom garments. That's our main business, and that's what we do. We design the factory, specialize, focus entirely on this. We produce our own fabrics. We do everything from A to Z. It's called vertical integration, and that's what we've been doing for many years, selling all over the world for custom clubs, custom teams, companies, all sorts. but it just happened at the same time that we do sport. I myself, well, you see some bicycles here. I myself, I cycle around the world. I like I start doing triathlons. I especially like the Xterra, the off-road version of the triathlons. That's my thing. So yeah, I mean, we have a factory, we have products, right? We have fabrics, we know how to do products. Many people ask us many times to produce for other brands, but we always refuse it. And then it started. MUDE started not like any other brand, or at least the ones I know, that it's someone who has an idea and want to develop one product and find investment and then launch one thing to make sales, right? We started more as a well, we can do it. We do sport. Let's do garments for us, and yeah, let's make sure that we do it right, that we do it nice, and that's how we started. So we didn't start MUDE brand as something that, okay, we're gonna rock the world and we're gonna sell it everywhere and put lots of products on the shelf, worldwide, and make collection. That was definitely, and still it is not what we have in mind, because besides I'm quite sustainable in mindset for all what I've done. My two business partners too, and we also understand that we are a textile factory and that the retail is not our league. And well, we do things nice. People like what we have. Sure, we can sell it, but sure not are hungry to put t-shirts in all the shelf in the world, mainly because it's not sustainable. So that's, I would say, is the story behind MUDE. We've seen also all those pictures of mountains, the desert, of leftover clothes in Chile, or I don't know where it is, right? So the fast fashion industry, and like it or not, the sport industry it is. You have to get a new pair of shorts or vest or t-shirt every few months because there's always something new. So this is not sustainable. I mean, and we see every now and then brands that blow and reach the top, and suddenly, boom,
Yeah.
it's more seen in the bike industry probably recently than the running. But so yeah, MUDE Sports, it's a high custom performance garments made of recycled fabrics with the idea to produce only what it's need. And we would like, if possible, to produce only as much garments as the world needs. How do we do that? In Vietnam, it's easy because we can produce based on demand. So basically, what we do, we stock very minimals, and then when somebody orders, we produce, we ship. Shipping within the country is very easy and simple. In other countries where we start now disembarking, like for example, in instance in Spain, we send a very small production because as we design the factory to do exactly what we're doing, we can produce very, very quickly. So I can have there a very minimal stock, and then produce very quickly and ship very quickly, using also other shipments that I have regulars for other big orders that I have in this country. So that's the plan or the strategy that we have. Obviously, it's shocking sometimes. With, I think you net got a shock also, and sometimes people will be like, no, I want to place an order at the beginning of the year, and I get all the stock. And I'm like going like, you don't need to. I can just send you small quantity. The only thing that you need to do is every week you have to check your stock. And if you're short of one or the other, or one size or the other, you send me an email, I produce it and send it back to you. But well, obviously it's something new. Nobody is used to this, and it takes time. But that's I mean, up to where we bring
Yeah.
the sustainability and the environment into MUDE Sports.
I'm actually wearing a mute shirt right now. This is one of the
Uh-huh.
shirts, and this is from recycled plastic. So I think this was very
Yeah,
cool to work with you guys
and I
on
think we did
recycled
it a
plastic.
few years ago, if I'm not
This is now
mistaken.
the latest one is 2 years ago. Yeah, but yeah, it's
That's
true.
the that's the
Yeah, correct. How? what are you learning from growing a Vietnamese brand in sports overseas?
That's a very good question.
Yeah, I didn't send this
Okay,
one before to you. Sorry.
no, but I like it. I like it. What I learned, and I guess this happens in every country in the world, when something is from your own country, you don't value it the same way. Always what's coming from outside, it's always much better. What I see here is that, I mean, it's not that, I mean, our sales in Vietnam are good. I think the brand is well known. We've been here for many years already doing this, and I think we have a good reputation of good quality clothes and good performance clothes and blah, 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 and so on. But it is true that sometimes, especially when you go into the retail price, you will see what people pay for other brands and for other products that when you get it in your hands, sorry. But the perception of people towards this brand from outside is much higher. But now we start disembarking in Spain, and surprisingly, in a country where, well, Kilian is from Spain. Okay, so we've been doing trail running since the beginnings, right? And there's a huge culture, federations, everything, many professional elite runners, everything. When I send my garments to elite runners in Spain, the feedback is shocking, absolutely shocking. And I can send you the screenshots. It's like, wow, this is unbelievable. This is the quality is amazing. The finishing, the this, the that, the that. And I'm like, I don't get it. I mean, I don't get it. So I do think that that the marketing poetry that I call it, it affects everyone, even myself when I have to buy things for my bicycles. But it does. You know, many times you read things and you're like, I really need it. I really need it. And then you know. So I think going back to you, yeah, I do think the perception outside, and it happens the same in Australia. It's surprisingly good, which I'm very happy. I'm very happy about it.
Okay, so I have a short question. Do you think people think the quality is going to be lower because it comes from Vietnam, and that makes their surprise bigger?
Might be, but also it might. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not in their minds, but I think also it's the price point what determines that. You got the same running vest or cycling jersey, and it's for sure it's good because it's more expensive, right? So or it has, I don't know, so many little gadgets or clips, very nice, and you know, that maybe are unnecessary, but it looks very good, right? So then yes, that's I think it affects the perception of people.
Yeah, and another question. I just put that on because you mentioned people were shocked. You just said that running gear is fast fashion. Until you said that, it never crossed my mind. I always perceived fast fashion as cheap crap on fashion websites. But the minute you said it, I was like, oh my God, he's right. Like now, I don't buy a lot of stuff. I don't chase fashion, as you can tell. Anyone who met me can tell, you know, and I buy, you know, bits and pieces, but that's a strong statement. Like, because fast fashion's got a very negative connotation. And I think you're right, because I think people discard their running stuff way too quickly. I don't know.
How the industry works. I mean, it's you buy any product, and 3 months later, it you got it 30 or 40% discount, and it's the same product. I mean, it hasn't changed. Just past 3 months, but when it costs $300, now it costs 220, and nothing has changed. So, but because they need to launch a new product, right, and they need to make it attractive for you, so you get it. And also the products, the life of the products, we've seen that on the technology, on the phones, on the laptops. It's made to have a
Yeah.
very short life, right? So you can always have to be buying a new one because it doesn't work.
Yes, but your point is right. But technology changes. Phones change. A running shirt is a running shirt.
Well,
Is a running shirt.
fabrics change too. I mean, you know, there's you know, we can blend it and mix it like this, or maybe it has a seamless, and then it's not chaffing, or it has this, or it has, so there's
Okay. Yeah.
tiny little bits. But what it cannot be is that one product just change color, and for that reason the price change. I'm sorry, but that's well, it's the world we live. But I don't know.
How do you plan to stand out against this massive influx of other, yeah, call it fast fashion trail running brands? I mean, I'm not talking about the Americans necessarily and the French and so on. I'm talking more about also the Asians, where I see a lot of other brands coming. What is your key selling point there?
Well, for me, it's just I mean, being loyal to ourselves and our mindset. That for me, it's I know I'm not in a rush. I know that I wouldn't say everybody, but most of people who try our garments are happy. They like it. They many times also they come back to me like, I don't know, I'm still have it for the last 3 years, and it works perfectly. Actually, the other day there was an American friend who was here in Vietnam 10 years ago. That when he left, he asked me for 3 singlets, and I gave it to him. And he texted me the other day. We haven't talked in 8 years, and he said, "By the way, I still have your singlets. I wear them every day, and they are amazing." And this for me, I mean, that's it. That's it. And me and Mute in general. I mean, company. That's what we like, and we would like to find the. And we know there's many people in the world, and people like different things. But to all the ones who care about those things, who likes products well made that last long, that if you have a problem, we can fix it, or we can send it back. We've been doing this thing that now many brands put in their mouth. All the time. Obviously, it's easy to do it in Vietnam, but that if your garment is broken or something, you can send it back to us. We will fix it, send it back to you. We've been doing that already for 3 years, and not as part of any marketing strategy. Actually, we didn't put it anywhere. We just do it because we think it's the right thing to do, and that's what I think. Yeah, that's how we will keep continue to do like this. I mean,
I'm
you never know what happens in life. I mean, the future, right? But yeah, that's how we would like to progress and to do.
I'm going to assume you're a huge fan of Yvon Chouinard of Patagonia, right? His, don't buy this jacket advert, his pretty strong determination, and his business has been unbelievably successful. But I also got the feeling that he's slightly in the minority in running endurance fashion. Yeah, I'm sure we could talk about Yvonne and Doug Tompkins and all of these pioneers. What's your views on that? Because clearly they've been successful, but it feels more of them are still focused on money than the soul that you feel coming out of Patagonia.
It's. I mean, first of all, I mean, it's not my company, so I don't know I mean, why they're doing or the things, the decisions that they have taken at some point. Obviously, I mean, anyone, when it grows and can be a brand, can be a shoe, can be an event. Anyone, when it grows, it's a different story, and it's hard. There are certain things that it's hard to keep, to keep for you. And look, it's the same as an elite runner. When you're an elite runner and you're a very good runner, but nobody knows you, your life is very simple. When you're an elite runner and suddenly you got 20,000 followers on Facebook and 50,000 in Instagram and this and that, and the brands are not all, but some, they basically mainly want to use you for their final profits. Yeah. It's a different game. So it all change when it grows, right? And that's life.
It does come down to, I think, also who are the shareholders, Ned. To your point, Patagonia has been privately owned ever since, and now it's owned by the planet. There's this big announcement 2 years ago when they moved the ownership to the foundation that basically is donating all the surplus to the earth. Being private helps because you have more overview and control, as you all know. Ned and I and we're all shareholders ourselves and have been investors, are all investors. So I think the biggest point is
A little bit where you were asking, like what's new, what's the future? Yeah, we I don't know, we like our product. We like people to have it. So yes, we like to expand, to be in more countries, so more people can have them. But then obviously that also comes with all these questionings, like, okay, yes, we need investment, but which kind of investment? How do we grow, right? How we're going to do it? And the opportunities are there. I think so far, I mean, thanks to Ho and what we've been doing with her, we got global exposure. So many people know us. I think there are opportunities to be, I'm hope soon to be in Singapore. Also, I mean, but it's also at the same time, yeah, I mean, we are three business partners, so for sure there's opportunities for, but it's important also to see and to plan, and you, Marcus, know it well, and I guess you need too, how you do it, with who you get married, how you're going to do it.
Oh yeah. So what came first, Hau or the running team?
How, I think. Yeah, I think.
So
Yeah,
tell
I
us
mean,
about Hau.
we sponsor few athletes before, and I would, okay, at that moment we will sponsor them mainly what I call friends. I mean, I will give clothes to people that they were nice people, without, it doesn't matter if they make podium or not, like Sarah and or Richard, or some other people in Vietnam that they were friends and they like what we're doing, and then just because I know they will talk hopefully nicely about us and what we were doing. How it all started. I will say the date's wrong. Sorry. I think it's 2020 when she ran the BTM, the Vietnam Trail Marathon, and at that time I was actually sponsoring with gloves one of the female who finished second, Axel, and she was very good. So I saw the race, and then boom, there was this girl that smashed it and finished first. And then everybody, when they came back, they were like, "Oh, this is the hardest edition ever, extremely hot." Crazy, absolutely crazy. And I look at the times of that girl, and I compare it also with previous editions in better weather conditions, and still the time was crazy. So I was like, "Ooh, wait a second. I want to, So I find her on Facebook. I send her a message. Luckily, she speaks English. And I told her, I said, "Look, I saw you running. I think you have a lot of potential. I have a brand. I like to work with you. I like to sponsor you some clothes." And she was like, "Sorry, but I don't know who, I don't know you, I don't know anything, I don't know your brand, I don't know this, I don't know." She asked me like, "What means sponsorship?" And I said, "Well, that means that I will give you clothes, right? Or maybe even money at some point." And she was like, "Why would you give me clothes? For what reason?" And then she told me, "Okay, well, I don't know anything. Let me think about, and I'll go back to you in 1 week." So 1 week later, she came back and she said, "Okay, I'm happy to try your clothes." And then we start. And then what happened? It does, well, we start talking, and I will start asking her questions about her training, if she's doing it. And I quickly realized that she didn't know anything about it, and she just started running. She had no idea about planning your workouts, or what it was, a Strava segment. There's a funny story about it. What a heart rate monitor, nutrition. She didn't know who's Killian. She didn't know who was Courtney. She didn't know anything. It just happened that Ho. Sorry, now I guess we're shifting to Ho. Sorry, the question was like first Ho or the or the MUDE running team. First Ho, and that's how it started. So how it happens that she was working and living in Sapa, working at a tourist office, seeing the BMM race that happens there in Sapa Square every year. And she was a bit overweight, according to her thinkings. And she decided to start, she was a single mom, and then she decided to start doing some running to lose some weight, because she was running at the high school before. So she started, and then the friends, they say, "Well, you're running good." So I think in 2 months, they asked her to join the BMM 21 kilometers. And then she went, and she win overall. First, they were thinking that she was cheating, obviously, because she was from there and it could not be. And 2 months later, or three, I don't remember exactly, then she joined the BTM, the one where I met, or I started talking with her. And she finished first female, I think third overall. And yeah, from there, then we start working. I would say more as a friend, first of all, as a mentor, and then coach later, and obviously professional sponsor later. And we make her professional, and yeah, working a lot to educate, to make her understand. When I discuss with her many times, like, you can be a professional athlete, you can make a living out of this. The first problem I face is that, I mean, when you don't know that that's a possibility, it's hard to imagine it. Because if that concept, that, I mean, for us is difficult because we all know, but for someone who doesn't have that idea, now in Vietnam, probably many people has that idea because they've seen how and they see how, but before, no. And so when I will talk with her about this, or even when one day we went and talked with her family, the family is like, sorry, but I don't get it. I mean, and I put them the example, like, look, if she was a pianist, right? You, a talented pianist, you would put her in the conservatory and you will push her to have a career because you know that if she plays piano very well, she can maybe make good money, right? So you can do the same in running. But obviously, the parents also is like, sorry, but I mean, running through the mountains. I mean, first of all, so it's been a long journey, and but yeah, very happy. And then obviously we start working with other trail running athletes and create the MUDE running team. So yeah, first it was Hope, later, or at the same time, or together, it grows the MUDE running team.
Do you feel she every country has a sport that's a national sport, and it grew from often one iconic person who made a difference. Is she? Do you feel she's starting to get that recognition? Obviously, within the road running community, maybe, or is she starting to get any national attention that would start to convert other people, as you say, to believe?
It does, especially on, obviously, on the trail running community and in the running community too, because obviously it's the best runner that this country have seen, the one who has win more tournaments at international elite level. Yeah, let's say, okay, the CCC or UTMB. We can say that it's like the Olympic Games, right? In trail running, there's
Sure,
nothing like this, right?
sure.
So yeah, but at the same time, we need to understand that trail running is not an official sport in Vietnam. The Athletics Federation doesn't recognize trail running as a sport. So therefore, it's not on the national media. She appears from time to time, obviously, because the results are remarkable, but it is not something that the media machine, state machine, will put it on first page, because somehow you could say it's illegal, right? It's not official, right? So it's complicated. I mean, definitely there's a legion of fans in Vietnam. I think they like her. I mean, her smile is amazing. Her story, it's remarkable. Um, she's pure, I've been very tough these 3 years to protect her in this, and make sure that that people, I mean, that she doesn't get polluted. I don't know how to call it, but that, and I do
Distracted.
think that, yeah, or distracted. Yeah, even I mean, Marcus, how is Facebook in this country? And very quickly at the start, I was like, sorry, you need to differentiate your personal social media than your professional social media. And it takes time for her to understand it. But okay, we did it. Now her professional social media, it's growing to the sky, and it's good. It's the right way to do, and brands and the audience or the public also sees how as someone that she's not announcing different things every day, and that she's someone focused, training hard for a goal. We don't know what is the final goal, but for being the best that she can, and for growing in this sport.
We've been referring on the show a lot to a calculation we've done about comparing the cost between a US and a Vietnamese runner. You might have heard it before. We calculated the cost is $15,000 for US and $150,000 $100,000 for a Vietnamese athlete to become elite. What is your take on that? And let's ask that question. How do you think that could happen?
I know it very well because we sponsor Hau for the last 3 years, professional contract. I know obviously what I'm paying, and I know the cost. Yeah, we've been going around the world. We've been going around the world according to our possibilities. We would like to do more, but we are the sole sponsor, and we have the budget that we have. Right. Your numbers, I think, were very accurate, obviously, also because we discussed them. But this week, for example, I've been in talks with one of the top elite Spanish runner, which I'm in negotiations, and he sent me his numbers. And I would say his numbers are totally accurate and matching what you were publishing or you were talking. I do think that this is something that we need to change it. I mean, the whole trail world, it's focused on Europe and US and a little bit in Australia. Okay. The rest, we don't exist. And we don't exist. And now I'm talking as a whole manager. We don't exist for brands. We don't exist. Even the market, Vietnam market in general, is a tiny market. So the focus is very small. And the cost, especially for these people, and it's not just the cost, but sometimes it's like UTMB index. Oh, UTMB index is not very high. Well, I mean, what are the possibilities for a Vietnamese or a Filipino runner to go to many UTMB races, even in the region? I mean, you cannot even get the bloody visa, and also the cost. And when you see things like the interview you got with UTMB CEO Florian about elite programs, support programs, which actually we get it last year, and I don't know, somehow this year, but anyway, we can get into that later. But these support programs, I mean, nothing wrong. I mean, it's good, but when you're supporting runners from a third world country, send them money first, pay it so that they then can buy the ticket, and not that they have to get debts or that they have to ask people for the money, hoping that later, you will get paid back. Because we are talking about, I don't know, a trip to Australia easily. And I'm sorry, but all the elite runners need to travel with a coach or with a team member. So at least you go two people, right? So flight tickets, accommodation, this and that, meals, boom, bim, bam, boom. You would go to maybe $3,000, $4,000. I mean, people also need to understand that you don't go to the race the night before. When you're an elite, you need to go there a few days before. So you need a few days to be there. So we're talking that the support program is about $700 to $1,000, which good. Yeah, thank you. But what is happening is that these people, these runners, they have to ask or put from their pockets or ask the family to put $4,000, right, to go there. And then later, you never know when you will get paid. And I don't think you can call it a lead program, but not support. I don't know. I mean, I think there's something there that needs to be fixed because it's very difficult for runners from these countries to make it to the lead.
Have you ever considered that you guys move to Australia, France, other countries?
No, not at all. Hau, she's Vietnamese. She loves her family, her country, where she's from. I am not Vietnamese, but my kids are mixed, and I like it here. No.
Do you see, as you've been going along on this journey, we've seen that Asian trail runners are starting to make a difference. Sun Maya, Ho, Stingray. Are these the exception or are these the rule?
I think countries like, and for many reasons, for geographic reasons, for economic reasons, for moment in the history reasons, I think countries like Vietnam and Nepal, in my opinion, are what Kenya is for the road running. I think the conditions on these countries the altitudes, the tracks they have, and as I say, the economic situation, the historic situation, it really can be the nest of one of the best trail runners in the world in the coming years. But again, it comes together with the possibilities that they have. Yeah, I follow many trail runners around the world, and I see, the capacities that they have, what they are doing during the day, which is basically, I mean, they are professional runners. So they wake up, they have the physiotherapies, then they go and they take a coffee, and then they rest, and then they have another massage or whatever, and then they have this, they have that. It's all, I mean, it's wonderful, right? It is the right thing to get at the level. I see what Ho still has to do every day, and the well, there was a running track in Sapa where she lives, and now it's the car park for all the buses of the tourists. So there's no running track, and they are planning to build there a big hotel. So the possibilities that you have being in those countries are very difficult. So I do think that in the years to come, especially if there's a bit more focus of brands and international organizations on those countries, there could be, but also it is important that this is made organically, sustainably, and not business oriented wise, I would say. For me, like a comment, like I heard the other day from the UTMB CEO, that now they are focused on young talents and they will sign young talents, and um, it raised up my ears. It's like, it sounds to me like what happens in football so many years back, until the FIFA or whatever say, sorry, but we need to put some rules here. You cannot go and make contracts with young kids, and if you do, I would say, okay, let's make sure that wherever these contracts have, it's public, and somebody should manage and control that, because yeah, it's sensitive.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Look, we're coming up on time. We generally keep these to about an hour. Goals. We always like to ask, what's a realistic goal for both Vietnamese trail running? I think you already answered it by saying this could be the Kenya. I love that phrase, man. Like, this is, it could be the Kenya of it. Is it fair to say then our goal is for Asia to be the dominant, Asian athletes to be the dominant champions of trail and ultra? Is that a realistic goal?
I do think in the next 3 to 5 years, and maybe before, because everything in Asia, when you live in Asia, it always happens something, at least here in Vietnam, that when you think something it's going to take 10 years, they do it very fast, right? So I would say 3 to 5 years, but I won't be surprised if it happens earlier, that we will see a UTMB champion, probably female before the male. We will see. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I am cheering it on. That would be amazing, because I would say, look, you've been in this region a long time as well. 10 years ago, that would have been crazy talk. 10 years ago, that would have been absolutely, we did have some of the early guys, Stone out of Hong Kong and Chung, but we did not have, as you say, it is the female runners coming from Vietnam, Nepal.
But it will happen also if their path is clean of traps, right? And there's the right support from brands and from sponsors, and then I think the talent and the geographic and historic and things, it's there. So yeah.
Well, also having supporters like you.
Exactly.
I try to do as much as I can.
I mean, I think thank you for all the work you've been doing in Vietnam, and you've been really pushing and putting it onto the map. Kudos for being so early and seeing the opportunity so early. Pretty amazing. And yeah, you are in that sense the godfather of the trail running team in Vietnam. So I think that's amazing work. I know it can't be easy all the time, but yeah, I really hope that this year in Chamonix we're going to see great results. I can't wait to see you guys. I'm going to come down to France as well.
Yeah.
And,
okay. Nice.
Yeah, we'll catch up then in person. Hopefully, can celebrate some amazing success stories.
Well, we have well, I wouldn't say big expectations, but sure, we have the belief that we can do it. I mean, I think everyone, I mean, when you go next time, you try to make it better, right? So last year, last year we finished fourth by 23 seconds. This year we'll try to make it better. Last year we know what we did right, what we did wrong. It was our first time. We got the experience that we had. So we learned a lot of things. And this year, just basic thing, but this year we know the course. Last year we start on the start line without knowing 1 meter of the course. So now this year, at least she knows when there's a climb and when there's a downhill coming. That will make a little different, right? So, I mean, look, many things with training well, very careful of the training that we're doing with Ho and the races that she's doing and this and that and all the ins and outs. But yeah, we're on the right path, and hopefully we can have a good time in Chamonix this summer.
Thanks so much, Guim. We're wishing all the best for you personally, of course, for MUDE Sports, for your running team, and of course also Hau. Yeah, it's been a pleasure having you on the show, and we'll hopefully
Thank
get
you
you
guys
back
too.
soon.
I think keep doing the good work. I mean, we need this in Asia, no doubts, and hopefully it has a worldwide repercussion and listeners. And yeah, I mean, Asia exists, and the trail running in Asia exists, and I think we also have the right to be on the map.
For sure. Last episode, number 18, was a pretty good hit given the Philippine exposure.
Yes.
And so we had a record numbers of listeners for that one. So no pressure, Guim. Hopefully you also will post to your network and we will go viral via your channels. In any case, we'll now hand over to the last part of the episode's recording, which is Ned's Drop. I'm calling it also now these days poetry. I like the word earlier. You said, Guim, marketing poetry. And in this case,
I prefer wisdom. I prefer Ned's wisdom.
Ned's wisdom,
more
inspiration. That is what we are sticking to. So, Ned, share your wisdom, please.
So this is a bit of a different one. A little. So I'll just give you the context. So normally I run about like effort and feeling and soul and the beauty of our sport. Western states is implementing drug testing. Jesus, like what's going on? I'm not against drug testing. I'm all for drug testing. I'm not against it. The fact that we need to do that in our sport now, what? We're weirdos running around in the woods. What's going on? I also understand that the world has changed. So it's a little poem to both lament and understand that our world is a different world this time. So this one is called Drugs. All right, let's go. Drugs. Surely not. In our dirtbag sport, we do it for the love, don't we? For the soul-defining adventures, for getting lost, to tire our minds. Sure, we want to win, but not that much that we take the wrong thing. Drugs in sport is for the other sports. You know the ones with money and fame, in the media, with fans and sponsors. Oh, shit, that's us. Is that us? Surely not. We're just wanderers looking for answers. But did we wander off the path into the real world? That would suck. A place where normal human behaviors exist, where people run over each other, not beside each other. I don't want that. I want to run with my people. Sure, in a race, I want to win and beat my friends, but they are my friends, always, and first, even if they come second. Because in the world of ultra, the world I live in is full of shiny, happy people holding hands, shiny, happy people laughing, shiny, happy people having fun. It's a reference. But with money and fame and media comes reality. But it's okay. Don't worry, ultra people. I have an answer. Don't take drugs. I have a much better idea. It's called losing. You will benefit way more from losing than from winning with drugs. So ultra running people, don't worry. I think it's almost none of us. But it may, on occasion, just be one. But it's okay. We have a long road ahead. There will be bumps in the trail. Our world will change. but we can always go and run in the woods and go back to being shiny, happy people. See you out there, Ned.
Thank you, Ned.
Very good.
I do like that song, actually.
There you go. You got the reference. You're too young, even, man. Come on, it's
Excuse me.
such a great song.
I think it's good. I think, when I listen, what I was thinking is like, gosh, we're getting old. But at the same time, I do think that exactly for that reason, we need to have podcasts like this to explain it to the young people. Because, yeah, definitely the world is changing. But that doesn't mean that we don't need to change the values of the sport. It's like, if you look, I compare it to the rugby. I mean, if one day the rugby players start discussing with the referee, that will be the end of it, right? The rugby players, the referee says this, and they say, yes, sir, go away. And the day that will change, that will be the end of rugby. And trail running is the same, Trail running, it's not like athletics running. So,
Yep.
It'll be okay. It's always, and I love this phrase, it'll be okay in the end. And if it's not okay, it's not the end.
that's it.
On that wise note, Ned, thank you so much. Thanks, Guim, for joining us. Thank everyone for listening.
Pleasure.
It's been a pleasure having you. And looking forward to connecting more. We have more guests coming on the show. We don't stop here, of course. But in the meantime, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, all the other channels you want. And otherwise, see you out there on the track and trail. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Guim.
Thank you, guys.